Hello and welcome to a new tutorial for Sonic Sorcery. I'm Steffen Key, your Sonic Sorcerer, and in this video I wanted to show you how you can create your own atmospheric effect racks, like the SHAMANIC ATMOS FX RACK that I have on my website. For those of you who don't know, it's basically a collection of sounds that are shamanic in nature, ritualistic in nature, and I use them for live performance as well as production and DJ sets, right? And someone asked in the comments how they can create their own. So this is what we're going to look at in this video. Okay, so first, of course, you need a sound source, right? And you can do pretty much anything. You can have field recordings that you record yourself, sounds in nature, or you banging on a drum or on a stick or whatever. In this video, I'm going to use the feature that you can actually import videos into Ableton. So I will take a video that I made of a recording session of a super amazing upcoming sample library, and that contains only Costa Rican traditional indigenous instruments. And so I can just take this video here with the Weta flute and drop it. Oh, that's on the MIDI clip. Of course, it has to be on an audio clip. That's really important. So let me get this on my second screen, put it on the audio clip. Right, so now it's putting the video here and it has the audio as well. So if you want to see the video, you just go to view and then you select a video window, and then if you play the clip, let me mute this. Right, so this is the video, but we want to go to the place where he's starting to play, so I'll go all the way to here and all the way to here. So just that we have just a couple of example sounds, right? So let's have a listen. Even this can go, right? So make it shorter. Right, so those are the sounds that we're going to work with. So I'm going to close the video for now. And I just take a couple of sounds, you know, just to show you the principle of it. So maybe we go like here. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to maybe EQ the sound a little bit, because like with any recording that you make in a room, there might be some low end that is like room noise, or like some rumble, or like some AC in the background, or anything that the microphone might have captured that you don't want on the recording. So we do a little cleanup by just putting an EQ8. So we go to the audio effects, EQ8, drop it on the channel. And if I click play now, let's go even shorter here. If I click play now, then we see the frequency spectrum here. We can even extend that to see bigger, and then we can see if there's some stuff in the low end here. See, it's a little bit, it's actually fine. It's not like really strong, because the position of my mic and the studio was already like really well treated, and there was no noise, and they really take care of the low end. But just in case, you know, if you have your field recordings, for sure there's gonna be low end, or like your room recordings. So we just set this to the low cut here, and we can listen and we can cut everything that we don't need, you know, just to clean it up and make space. So we can go as high as this, or even like this, right? So all that we don't need. And then in this case it's fine, but you know, like with wind instruments or like anything that has a strong resonance, you would have to check if there's some resonances here, like some unpleasant frequencies that you might want to turn down. thinking, oh yeah, like this one for instance, you know, like if this is like really loud, what you can do is, of course, you could use an EQ and you could find those frequencies. So it's a technique that we call boost, sweep, and kill because it works like this. So you select a frequency band. Let's say we take number 3. You set it to this shape. It's a bell shape, right? Because it has the name, because it looks like a bell. You can cut frequencies or boost frequencies. And so you can see the gain increases, right? I could also just change the gain here. So this will boost a specific frequency. This will cut a specific frequency, namely the frequency that we choose here. So we can go through the frequencies. And then a really important thing as well for the EQ settings is this Q value. This determines how broad we cut the frequencies or boost the frequencies, right? So this was like really specifically, really honed in, like very surgical, and this is like getting more broad. But for this boost, sweep, and kill approach, we want to have like a really narrow Q. And we want to have a listen. So maybe make sure that it's not so loud. It might be a bit piercing on your ears. Right, this one. And what we're listening for is resonances where, but that's the thing, in this studio, it's so well treated, you don't have really room resonances. A room resonance would be like you listen to a specific frequency and when you boost it, it's kind of amplified to a degree that it's distorted and unpleasant. But yeah, because the studio is treated so well, I don't really feel any of the resonances here. You could even just isolate it, like enabling the headphone symbol and then just listen. But like all those frequencies, they sound really good. Like it's nothing. Maybe this one a little bit, right? See, now you get it. This is like a bit intense. Of course, we boosted it like crazy, but you can just take it out a little bit like this. And I show you another example where it's a bit more extreme. Like this flute doesn't have such a high pitch, but I have another video here that I cut out, and here we have like a high-pitched ocarina, and right, and here it's a lot more sharp. And what I did here, I was working with a dynamic EQ. So the difference to a static EQ and a dynamic EQ is that the dynamic EQ is only taking down the frequency after it reached a certain threshold, right? You can see here, like, this is super strong. Same with this one here. So they get just turned down a little bit, like attenuated. And you can do that by, like, this is the Pro Q3, right? The Ableton EQ is not dynamic, but if you have the FabFilter Pro Q or any other dynamic EQ, you just select the frequency band and you make it dynamic, and then you can set the threshold and the Q as well. And then the threshold will show you how much it will be taken down once it's reaching that threshold. Right, we could apply it here. So this is width, and then if we take it off, right, it's just a bit more controlled and not so shrieking, I guess is the word. Right, so that's the first thing that we're going to do. So EQing, and we did that now. So now that we have EQ'd it, we can now right click and freeze the track. So this will like consolidate it to a new audio. If we flatten it, right, we first freeze it, then we flatten it, and now that we flattened it, you know, the EQ is gone, but the equalization has been applied. So now we have kind of this clear signal. And let me get rid of this for now. So we just focus on this flute sound. So what we have now is those different sounds, and we want to kind of chop them up so that we can put them in the effect rack. So I'm just selecting these here, right? And if you hit Command E, you see it will cut them. And then I go here again, select the start point, just adjust the end point here with the loop selection, Command E again. Can get rid of this. I go over here, just select this, Command E, and get rid of that in the middle, right? So you can see step by step we're crystallizing those samples, all those snippets of the recording. So we take this out, and this, and this, so we have the different sections. Actually, we could even cut this one. So, and this, maybe. All right, so now we have those different snippets. And the next thing that we want to do is we actually want to be able to trigger them from our drum rack. So what we need to do is we create a new MIDI track here, and then we go to drums, and we go just to drum rack the way it is, and we put it here on this MIDI channel, drag and drop it, or you could double click it. See, now we have this drum rack. At the moment it's empty, but the cool thing is we can now just start dropping those sounds into here. So I can take it, the first one, and drop it. Need to make sure that I'm in the right one. Or maybe we go here to C2. Oh no, C1 is fine. I drop it here to C1. And what happens is it takes the sound. Oh, I forgot something. Good that I see that right now. You see it still has this other sounds here that we could choose from, which is fine. But actually, if you wanted to take care of that and not have this sample so long, what we can do is we can click the first one and shift click, select all, and then right click, and then hit crop clips. And this will cut them so that only the real sample is there and not the rest of the recording. So if I take it now, put it in here, again on the same slot. Come on. You see, now I have this one. And the thing that happens as soon as you drop a piece of audio on one of these clip slots here, sorry, like more like sample slots, like this is like the sample matrix, it creates a simpler, and it's its own device in Ableton that has some really cool features. And let me go over some of them so that you can adjust and design your sound a little bit. So the first thing you notice is like I can play this here on the play button, but I can also play it on my keyboard. If this is enabled here, I can play it on my computer keyboard. So I arm this one for recording. No, I arm actually the drum rack. That makes more sense because that's what I want to play. And I need to go a little lower on the volume, on the octave. So now I press the note C, and it's playing the sound, right? And if you hear, okay, so we could adjust the start and end positions here. So we could have even like a little fade in if we wanted to. So if we increase this, it's fading in a little bit. So maybe let's do like this, fade in and fade out if we wanted to. See how that sounds, right? So you can adjust that. The next thing you can do, and you need to make sure that you're on one-shot mode. That's important. Like by default it's set to one-shot. There's other modes, but they don't apply for what you want to do, so one-shot is fine. So you can also enable the filter and then shape the sound, right? Get rid of the high frequencies, put some resonance, or apply a more creative filter like the notch filter. But in this case, let's just leave it to low cut. It's fine. I don't want to filter it at the moment because I'm going to create a filter later in the effect rack. So that's cool. And then what's really cool also is you can transpose it, right? So you can go here and you can put it an octave down, like you can go down in semitones. So we can go one octave lower, right? Gets really interesting. And I find we can even go one more down, right? Super cool. So now we have this low flute, but then if we go really low, it starts to sound like a whale. Right? It's almost losing its character and tonality. So what I suggest is you take this one, the 24 semitones, so 2 octaves down, and now I can click on it and hold command while clicking, and it creates a copy. Right? So now I can go up here, go up to minus 12 semitones. So this minus 24, this one is minus 12, and this one we put to 0. So it's normal. And then we can rename it here. So I could say flute effects 1, and then I say minus 24, because that's the octave, right? And then this will be flute effects 1 minus 12, and this will just be flute effects 1, right? So I have those cool sounds, and you can do the same for all the other ones, right? So you put it in, and then let's put this here, and let's duplicate them over there, and let's just transpose them down. This one's 12 semitones, and this one 24. And I also want to show you that this is also a way how you can tune the samples, right? So if we go here to the audio effects and we go to the tuner, then I can play the note. Maybe not the lower one, maybe let's play a higher one. Right, so now it's saying I'm in D sharp. So I can now go, let's say if I wanted to go to E, I just go a semitone up here on the transpose. See, now I'm in E, and this is how you can tune your sample, also based on the key of your track, which is really handy. So yeah, those are the main features, and of course here's the volume knob. So if you want to make a sample louder, you can change the volume here. And what's also really cool with the drum rack is, each of these samples can have their own effects, right? Because you see here's a little space where you can drop effects. So what you could do is you could individualize each of those sounds with each separate settings. So let me just show you an example. For instance, I could go to audio effects and I go to echo, right? And I could drop the echo here. Right now it has the echo effect. And on this one, I could put a delay. See, like now, they each have their own effect, and you can really create effect chains if that's what you want. However, that's a lot of work, especially if you go all the way, like you can have 128 sounds per drum rack. And, like if you want to use the space, I did that for my Shamanic Effects Atmos Effect Rack, right? I used all the slots here, so those are 128 sounds. And if you go in your effect rack, you could use that. But imagine it would take a lot of time putting that in for each one individually. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an effect rack similar to the audio effect rack that I showed you in the last video. So if you want to understand it deeper, I highly recommend you to watch my video that says creating your own effect rack. Now I'll just go over it really quickly. So what we're going to do is we have this drum rack now. So I group it, Command G. This creates an instrument rack, right? And now I can select the macros and I can put effects here at the end. So let's say I want to start with the filter, right? So I go to auto filter, You have to make sure that it's inside the device, right? If it's outside, then it's not going to be part of the rack, and then you cannot map it. So let's set this to the low cut filter here, go all the way up with the frequency, and I want to map the frequency to macro 1, right? And you see, oh, that's in the drum rack. That's not what I wanted, so maybe we put it in here. See, that was important. So you have to have it in the instrument rack, because this is still part of the drum rack. Like this whole section here, like this little pocket. So I had to put it not here, that would be outside, then I could not map it, see? So it has to be in the second pocket. So you need to be really aware where you put it. It's a little tricky, right? But you can always check. I map it to macro 1 and I see, it's on the instrument rack. And it's a bit confusing because you could also have your macro controls for drum rack, but maybe that's something for another video, because that would be kind of Inception style, pretty meta. So we just go with the instrument rack here. So this is the frequency. So now, and this applies to all sounds, right? So yeah, that's the filter. And then the next thing, as I said, I would like to add a delay. So we just go to the audio effects here and go to the delay and map the dry wet to macro 2 and the feedback to macro 3. Change the filter a little bit to make sure there's not too much low end. And then, right? And then you can give it a color per effect, and you could even like name it, you know, but you can all see these details in the other video. I don't want to go over it again for the sake of time. And yeah, I just wanted to basically show you the approach how to create this effect or Atmos sounds for yourself. And you can choose anything, you know, like let's say now you have those field recordings, or like I took the snippets from the video, right? And those sounds are specific effect sounds, right? We created and recorded those sounds as effect sounds. But you can also just go here, for instance, to any sample library or whatever you have, even like Ableton sample library. Like if we go here to samples, you know, and you look for riser or something, right? And then I can, why don't I take this one and I have this shaker riser in here. And maybe we have another one here, the classical white noise riser. Right, put it in here. So you can take any sample and put it in there, and it's all going to be affected by those things here. Right, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you found some inspiration to create your own Atmos and effects racks. And this is really just the tip of the iceberg. You can go really deep, and I'm gonna at some point make a video about sound design and layering sounds and stuff like that. But yeah, step by step. This was just to give you an idea how you can create your own atmospheric sound effect racks. And yeah, you can play these with a MIDI keyboard or with your push or any controller that you have, and yeah, use them for your live performances, for your live sound journeys, your DJ sets, and so on. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next one.